concept of it, and then quickly I realized like you have to have a business in place.
That's Thomas Petro. He's the founder of the Hype House, which is a huge home in the Hollywood Hills, as well as a media and content collective known as a creator house.
Have we ever been invited to the Hype House? Because it's not that far.
No, hopefully soon, though. Do you want to go?
I'm interested.
Yeah, I would go.
Yeah.
I would go to the
I
Hype
don't know
House.
who's there, but I would check it out.
Yeah, I would go.
I'd have a meal.
Sure, I would take a dip in the pool.
I don't know if they're serving food, but
Yeah, I would swim.
you'd go in the pool.
Yeah.
Over the past year, we've seen a rise in TikTok creator houses, but this is a concept that is not new.
No, creator houses have actually been around for a while. And actually, before creator houses, this concept of a collective has been around forever.
And whenever you have creative people who are living together, making things together, and generating an income together, it can get kind of messy.
It was horrible. I was like throwing up every day from anxiety every morning.
In the case of the Hype House, Thomas is the one who runs the show. He chooses who moves into the house.
So he's basically like the gatekeeper between Hollywood and the next generation of stars.
So often with creator houses, there is a lot of drama, and with the Hype House, the majority of the original members have either left the group or have been kicked out.
Do you remember Cody Ko reacting to an interview of the Hype House?
Yes.
That was hilarious.
All right, I've got some pretty good cringe for us today.
But if you look at that interview, a lot of those members, actually the majority of those members, not there. Addison Rae, not there anymore. The D'Amelios, not there anymore.
Through all that drama, the Hype House remains one of the most successful creator houses and one of the most well-known creator houses out there.
I think it's the only house that I even know anymore.
The Hype House has a major following, it has a successful merch line, it has major stars who've come through the Hype House, like some of the biggest names in social media started with the Hype House, and now they even have their own reality show coming out on Netflix. So when it comes to creator houses, like,
This is the one.
this is the one.
Yeah. So when so many creator houses fail, if not the majority of creator houses fail, how did Thomas do this right? And why are all these members leaving if the Hype House is so successful?
We're going to go into some of the different models that creators can use to collaborate with each other, to collaborate with agents, managers, and speak from some of our personal experience of working together for the last 10 years.
And if you're new here, I'm Samir, that's Colin, and this is the Colin and Samir Show, a weekly show where we talk about the latest in the creator economy.
If topics like this interest you, then definitely subscribe to the channel. We are trying right now to get to 300,000 subscribers.
All right, make sure to like this video and also comment below. If you were to start a creator house, what would it be called? Colin?
The Coffee Club.
Coffee Club, that's good.
It would just be super caffeinated all the time.
Sure, yeah.
So we'd have our own coffee brand.
I like that. I think mine would be the Pasta People.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'd be rivals. sort
Yeah.
of, right?
Both based in Italy, both
Yeah.
Italian-based food collectives. All right, Colin, roll the intro.
I have a little bit of a scared coffee energy today. You know what I'm feeling?
Yeah. There's different levels. It's like alert,
Mm-hmm.
energized,
Yep.
and then it quickly goes to terrified.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Paranoid,
So I'm on the
terrified.
edge of. I'm about to be terrified.
You're on the edge.
Yeah. I can't keep my hand from shaking, and it's partially your fault.
My fault.
Yes.
Why?
Because I made cold brew,
Yeah.
and you
Oh, I
want
bought
me
you
to
the
just
cold
like
brew
make your
maker.
own cold brew
Sure,
thing,
yeah.
but I don't know how it really works, and I don't know how long to let it steep.
By the way, if
It's
this
very
is,
strong.
If this is your vibe, no one's joining the coffee club because you don't know how to coffee. You're just like, you're a hot mess.
Bottom line is I'm not happy with you today.
I see.
This is your fault.
Got it. Okay.
And although I'm saving money, I'm not feeling great.
So let's start by talking about like the origins of Thomas. Where did this guy come from, and like how did he start this successful collective? Especially because he seems really young, right?
Yeah, he's 22.
He's in his early 20s.
He's
It's a lot-
24?
It's a lot to take on. Whether he's 22 or 24, everyone in social media is either 22 or 24, except for us.
There's some people out there.
Some.
Yeah.
But mostly everyone is 22 or 24.
Sure.
So the idea for this episode stemmed from listening to Thomas talk to Dave Portnoy and Josh Richards on their podcast BFFs.
Yes.
And I've always been curious about how the Hype House works. And we've actually talked to a lot of other people who live in creator houses, because I've always been curious, like, what's the value exchange for everyone?
And it feels like they're built to implode. And they often do.
And they often do.
Right? So
yeah.
you look at what Thomas has done with the Hype House, and we're just very curious.
Yeah, like how is it not
work?
imploded yet?
How has Charlie D'Amelio, Addison Rae, how have they left the Hype House and yet it's still friendly and there's new stars that have come in?
Right.
How is this operating?
When we look at like Thomas's past and his origin, what he talked about on the show is that actually he met Jake Paul at a camera store here in LA, which is actually a popular one, Sammy's Camera.
We've been there a lot. We've
been there a ton.
In our videos, we go to Sammy's Camera.
Yeah.
He just happened to have met Jake Paul there, and I didn't realize this, but Thomas was daily vlogging, and he had been vlogging for 4 years.
4 years, and he said he was getting like 200 views on a video.
Which has to be one of the hardest things you could do. Daily vlog for 4 years and not take off? How do you do that?
But
You
I
must
guess
just
you're so
love it.
young. Yeah, you're so young. You're like, you're in such, like, think about if you're, whatever you're doing in high school, right? Like, let's say you're a high school basketball player. You're playing basketball every day from 14 to 18. Your expectation is not that, you take off. It's like, I'm honing in on this craft and I'll probably take off. Like, this will be my career. It's interesting because that just wasn't a reality for us. But someone who's that familiar with, content at that time at a young age, been doing anything for 4 years, like, you have some level of expertise in it at that point.
So he meets Jake Paul at Sammy's Camera. They start talking about cameras, and then after some time, he ends up building a relationship with Jake and either like working or just getting to know Jake and Team 10 really well. And Team 10 is the original social media creator house.
There's controversy around that, but for all intents and purposes, we will call it our first interaction with a creator house is Team 10.
Funded by Gary Vee, Jake lives in the house.
Yeah, there's a ton of investors, and the thing is, at this time, social media is so new that the model that they want to use is more akin to like just a record label or potentially a Hollywood studio. Just a way of saying like, we will build your brand, and in exchange, we will own a piece of your revenue. We'll get you deals, and we'll collect.
So Jake essentially becomes manager, but also collaborator, friend, takes a percentage of the people who come into the house. The advantage for the people in the house is that they can actually start to grow a following on social media because of the proximity to Jake.
And the other members.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, if one other member, example, Alyssa Violet, takes off, now the whole house is all interacting with each other and it all takes off. It's very similar to like hip hop collaborations, right? Like the way Drake really came about, at least for me, is I was listening to Lil Wayne, and then Drake was ending up in a ton of Lil Wayne songs. And then all of a sudden, there's Drake.
But does Lil Wayne take a percentage of Drake's earnings?
As far as I know, and someone can correct us in the comments, but I mean, he was signed to their label, so probably, yeah.
And that's where issues often arise.
Right.
So when it comes to the overall deal, the revenue share model, things can get really messy because when the talent gets to a point where they feel like they can exist on their own, they no longer feel like they should be paying a percentage of their revenue back to the person that initially helped them.
Right, but that person who initially helped them is basically saying, you wouldn't have even had this without me, so you should pay me this for, maybe an additional 3 or 5 years. And when you're a young 17, 18-year-old signing an agreement like this, you don't really know what you're signing. So naturally, tension arises because there's a lack of communication.
And you feel like you're working your ass off and potentially the manager is just reaping the benefits.
Sure, yeah.
Right.
But it's confusing because the manager is also a content creator who's also like your friend, maybe, because you live together, and your roommate or your housemate. That, by the way, I gotta say, looked like a very tough environment to live in.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was very difficult, toxic, crazy. It imploded.
Yeah.
It didn't work. Thomas was privy to that and saw that take place.
Right. I just want to acknowledge one episode I saw that Jake like comes into a room with a motorbike while someone's sleeping and then like hoses him down with a fire extinguisher to wake him up. And I was like, I would walk out. I would be like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna go home now.
if you ever did that to me and you were like, it's good content, that's gonna get views. I'd be like, we're done here.
Right. Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm gonna go.
But I'd rather sit in a chair
I'm
and
gonna go talk about the economics of
Yes.
creators somewhere else.
Yeah.
So the revenue share model, this is all about suggesting if someone can find fame, can someone else help manufacture it? Right? This happens in all entertainment, right? Like one person has got it, now let's try and build another person, because being an entertainer or being a content creator, not scalable.
no.
It's you.
But having the network, having
Yes.
the show, that is scalable. You can
Yes.
bring people through it.
Exactly. What's interesting is this revenue share model works in the more macro sense with YouTube, right? YouTube is this model that says you can use YouTube to build your career, and we will split the revenue with you. We'll sell deals and advertising on top of your channel, and we'll take revenue from that.
And in a way, it's the only game in town.
True.
There's no deal like it that will give you the distribution
Right.
and the revenue that the YouTube deal gives you.
Right.
So creators take it.
So the reason why revenue share models work is when one person has a platform and that allows you to create a business and you split the revenue, because if you didn't have that platform, it would be $0. With that platform, it's X amount. The challenge with the revenue share models in the Creator House is that at some point, you actually have your own platform, and you could generate without this person. So that's a challenge with the revenue share model. All right, so this whole episode is about how creators can, but you're essentially clawing back that money through your work.
You can feel like you're in massive debt instead of like you are a successful artist.
Right, because your income is capped at that amount until you surpass that amount. So actually, a really famous tale of this is Dominique Fike in music, who was given, I think, the biggest advance as a new artist, which was $4 million, because he had drummed up so much hype online about his music. So he got a $4 million advance, which is super exciting. That suggests also that he should be able to make $10 million, because otherwise, you know.
But he's a brand new artist, and he's got a lot of expenses. He's taking care of his family.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the advance against future earnings can also work in a collaboration model, but you have to understand it as a creator to say, okay, I have to trust that I can make a lot more money than this.
Now, what's interesting is what Thomas did with the Hype House. And we're saying Thomas, but also Chase Hudson was a founding member.
Lil Huddy, you don't know who Chase Hudson is?
Daisy Keach, who is no longer a part of the Hype House. There was some serious drama there.
Big drama.
She also was one of the founding members to put some money up for the Hype House. But Thomas is the guy now. And his model that he's using with the Hype House is the revolving door model. Now, this is something they talk about on the episode with Dave Portnoy, and it's super fascinating the way that it works.
When you take a percentage of someone, it doesn't matter what you do for them, eventually they'll hate you. And I've noticed that with managers and agents, no matter what, you'll end up being the bad guy later down the road when they're ready to be like, I don't deserve this, I deserve better than you, I don't want to share my money with anyone or anything like that. So I was like, what if I take a different approach and I bring a bunch of people together, there's no percentages, there's no like agreements, you can do whatever you want, leave whatever you feel like it, let's just bring a group of creators together that are doing well or blowing up, and then let's just take it from there.
If you're not getting a percentage of these people, what are you?